Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you may be in this world. It's stamp collecting fun time, and I've been having some fun collecting stamps, and it's time to look at three stamps. Peter here, reporting for duty. Three stamps that I came across as I was going through my box of stamps. And I thought, I don't know anything about these stamps, so let's have a deep dive. So here is what I've learned after 3 minutes research, and we'll have a little look. Okay, so what have we got first? I want to have a look at this stamp first. So this says United Nations 8 cents. And it's for, by the look of it, the Conseil de Sécurité pour la Maintenance de la Paix, Peace et de la Sécurité Internationale. I'm butchering the French language and any other language. But it's basically for, by the look of it, security and peace. And it's got United Nations there in French, and it's got unreadables there, and United Nations in English, and Nations Unies underneath. So it's a United Nations stamp. Actually, it isn't. This stamp, Strange Mundo, is a South African stamp, would you believe? I put it under Google Lens and it came up with a 1957 date for the 8C green, and it shows, UN emblem, map of world and everything. I asked AI whether it could possibly be a United Nations stamp, because they do produce their own in certain offices around the world. And the AI said no. But this stamp was produced by South Africa to celebrate or to note their involvement with the United Nations in 1957. I think they were just on the cusp of something then, weren't they, in 1957. The British Empire was sort of receding all over the place, and maybe South Africa, decided to stretch their wings a little bit and embrace what was going on in the United Nations in some way. Anyway, that's the first stamp, so it's any value. The back is a bit, it's not wrecked, but it's used. Yeah. Interesting stamp. Okay, next stamp, please. Aha. When I saw this, I thought Cuba, 1948, a figure. Looks like Castro's father. Congreso Internacional de la Lepra, 2 cents, red flower. Again, it went under Google Lens and it threw up one or two things. First of all, 1948 and the International de la Lepra was an international leprosy conference. How about that? Which took place between the 4th and the 13th of January in Havana. And this stamp was issued to commemorate or to celebrate that fact. It was actually the first time that a medical body, an international body from across the world had met to discuss leprosy in particular, treatment and diagnosis, stuff like that. But particularly treatment in a humane way, because you know what usually happened to lepers? They ended up in a colony. So the only way they were treated was put them all together out of the way. So what we've got here is, I was interested in this character, and it turned out, well, first of all, what is leprosy? Well, it is a bacterium-based infection. And it was called Hansen's disease after this chap. So Hansen's disease now is leprosy. So maybe it's people now refer to it as Hansen's disease rather than leprosy. Leprosy is still big in the world, but strangely at that time it wasn't big in Cuba. But Cuba had, I believe, a great emphasis on health and treatments of all illnesses. So this man is Dr. Gerard Hansen. He lived from 1841 to 1912. He was Norwegian, and he discovered the bacterium that caused leprosy. So he's celebrated, he's honoured by having his own stamp there. Yeah, so there's a bit of a cancel going on. Can I see what it is? Nope. Bit of a dink in that corner. Nice stamp, nice and red. Any value in it? No. Back is, there's the stuff you didn't know that you didn't know. But what they did decide from this Congress was early diagnosis. So instead of letting it fester or go on too long, diagnosis was made and then treatment can be given. And as a consequence, leprosy has decreased a lot across the world. I'm not saying because of that conference, but it was certainly something brand new. So there we have it. And it does say his name there. Something Hansen. Known by his second name, probably, knowing my luck. Anyway, that's that. And we go into the next stamp, which is, we're back to South Africa again. So, what have we got here? Well, we've got 1.5D, South Africa, Suid Africa and South Africa. We've got posel, which may be postage. We've got some sort of monument. We've got a cancel, which can't really be Roy. Nope, flavouring. So it could be something to do with flavouring. So they're sort of advertising something, a product maybe. But what have we got? Well, we've got a stamp here. So again, I put it under the eye of Google, and it came up with the following. This was released on the 16th of December 1949. It is known as Dingaan's Day. Dingaan being a Zulu king, and it's a day of reconciliation between the Zulus and the Voortrekkers, who were crossing the land and trying to carve out a piece of their own land, if you will. The monument is in Pretoria, so I presume it was around that sort of area. It celebrates, really, or it commemorates a significant day in South Africa history. Reconciliation is always good. What we've got here is, as I say, a monument. So we're looking at South Africa acknowledging history as such, and moving on from it and saying, we can reconcile. 1949 it was the Union of South Africa then, so it wasn't the Republic of South Africa, so presumably a British Dominion still in those days, probably up to about 1961. In fact, the first president I believe they had as head of state was Charles Swart, from memory, and then there's other names, and then there's others that are sort of more memorable, like de Klerk and Botha, and then we get into time moves on, and it's good that we have these stamps to remind us that there is history around, and people may be walking past that monument and think, well, what's all that about? Well, it's about bloodshed that went on in those days, but was eventually reconciled. Different times, different stamps. Okay, well, that's about it for now, I believe. Interesting. It's just fascinating, isn't it? What is thrown up that you don't actually know. I suppose of the three stamps, this is the most boring. This has bloodshed. This has health and efficiency. But Stamps are worldwide. We are learning all the time about how we proceed as a race, as a country, as a as people, and stamps help us do that. I hope you have a fantastic day, and shall we say goodbye to the 3 stamps? We will, and talk to you soon. Bye for now.